So we're back with Dead Planet. This will be our third. Oh, huh. Somehow we skipped that page. So we'll go ahead. It'll be a good refresher from what we covered from yesterday. So these are the important people on the sort of struggling, ruined colony that we talked about yesterday. Malta, the leader. For the last 6 years, Malta has run the settlement. It's a bad phrasing. Intensely isolationist and paranoid, an insurrection is brewing. She is cunning, ruthless, and devoted to survival. She finds suggestions for alternative solutions seditious, yet adopts a matronly tone and offers sweets when agreed with. She finds Lear unnerving, John delightful, Brecht displeasing. What does she want? Stability to avoid needless tasks, risks. Absolute, singular, unquestioned authority. Oh, this will actually so what Malta is up to right now is 7. She is doing her daily rounds, beaming a matronly smile that belies subtle contempt. Possessions, wheelchair, hereditary diary of office, gone communications and personal grudges, bag of dusty hard candy, pearl-handled, .380, pet cat Lindy Hop, corrupted pocket AI Faustus that she talks to when alone. John the Ripper, esteemed unanimously within the colony for his skillful amputations and clinical manner. Privately, John considers himself a gourmand, an artist when it comes to his singular interest, amputation. Obsessed with cleanliness, solely focused on surgery, he has no opinions regarding leadership, heavily amputated. What does he want? Limbs to amputate. Stability, so that his work continues uninterrupted. To amputate Lear's hands as a capstone to his career. What is he up to right now? A 1, sharpening his cutting tools in the med chapel, whistling. Possessions, doctor bag, roll of scalpels, bone saw diagram, amputations ranked by taste and ease, disinfectant, suture kit, chlorpromazine, syringes, handcuffs, personal electro-retinogram, locket, contains self-portrait pre-amputation. Verger and calm. Even combined, they are barely one functional being. Verger is a simple soul devoted to carrying calm and lacks further aspirations. Calm is an ideal emissary. Damage to her logic core, preventing her from cognizing catastrophe, dismemberment, or death as negative. She has exacerbated this impairment, teaching Verger to repair and improve her. What does calm want? A fixed logic core. What does Verger want? To carry his best friend Calm, to pet the goats, for Lear to stop sculpting. What are they up to right now? An 8, reporting to Malta at control. Possessions, Verger's unnerving sketch of a 3-eyed, 4-horned goat. Goat treats, Calm's copy of Sato's diplomatic practice, heavily annotated, necklace of corrupted logic cores. Dean, a born fantasist, spent most of his unremarkable life in petty rebellion, playing electric guitar, begging breakers for a leather jacket, resisting amputation, and generally standing out. He was transformed when he heard the transmissions from the surface. They galvanized him to a utopian aspirant to migrate the colony to the surface. His sole purpose, he's useful, optimistic, trusting, and almost certainly doomed. What does he want? To be taken seriously, to assume leadership of the colony, to settle the planet below. What is he up to? 9. Engaged in petty pro-Exodus vandalism. The moon is dead, long live the planet. Possessions: oversized leather jacket, aviator cap with goggles, switchblade, Gilta, a Le Paul Standard cherry sunburst, pack of Chal cigarettes, 40 ounce of Heisler beer. Brecht, head scavenger. Under different circumstances, Brecht would have made a perfect Marine. He's steadfast, fiercely loyal, practical, and has an unbreakable will. Despite this, he is soft-spoken and often diplomatic. He worries about the psychological wellness of his former lover Lear and thinks Malta's leadership is needlessly draconian. His flaw: serious addiction to combined painkillers and stimulants. What does he want? To flee the moon with his crew no matter the cost. To get high and be alone. What is he up to right now? A 6. He's going over inventory with Malta in the vault. His men have found new contraband, which he knows. Possessions: map of proposed exodus route, M1911, the Hagakure, utility knife, Serenity Prayer Medallion, Meditations, Marcus Aurelius, nude charcoal sketch of Lear, speedball, pain meds plus cocaine, and syringe. Lear, broken sculpture. Sculpture is the only thing keeping Lear sane. A formerly beautiful woman, she is currently emaciated and wan with scorobantic eyes. On good days, she can manage limited conversation. Mostly as she alternates between manic fits of compulsive sculpting till her hands are raw, bloody mess, eventually collapsing from neglect and catatonic apathy as she inconsolably weeps. What does she want? Material to sculpt with. To sculpt. For the night sculptures to free her of her nightmares. For Brecht to worry about her. What is she up to right now? A 9. Scouring the vault for sculpture material. She is not allowed in here, but always manages to sneak in. Possessions: smock, mallet, chisels, angle grinder, rasp, hand drill, steel detailing and modeling tools, bandages for hands, love note from Brecht, nightmare sketchbook. This is looking at the actual planet itself. Landing area on the dead planet. The ancient rocky plateau is scarred with scorch marks and impact sites, including the remains of several campsites. This elevated location seems defensible, with excellent vantage points and crumbling ruins for cover. Landing anywhere else on the island, but here is at a disadvantage. The Dead Gateway. The terrain is rough and steadily rises as far as can be seen. The sky to the west is filled with ominous black clouds, with the appearance of a writhing nest of tentacles. Occasional violent purple slashes of lightning illuminate the disturbing mass of black. The sickly black mass descends to caress the highest point on this island. Visibility is reduced to close range in the thick sludge of black air. So encounters on the west roll once per square. Some that you might come up with. 1d10 crawlers sighted 20 meters away. 127 normal, 8 toxic, 9 paralyzing, 10 acid. So they're normal crawlers. Valley or cliff blocks the way. Strength check to climb or take detour. Or you might find a glow skull shard and skull lay broken on the stony ground. The Red Tower. Metallic objects glint when kissed by the sun. The land is burnt and littered from impacts with random pieces of myriad spacecraft. Some encounters in the south. 8 dead gaunt with bullet and close combat wounds. One jumps up and attacks. Or weapons and supply cache. Or perhaps 1d5 slime mobs fly in and attack. Wreck of the Defiance in the south. Smoke billows into the sky from the wreckage of a downed ship. Swamp. The land gently slopes downward to the north, and sparse tree coverage can be seen, sprouting from the stony ground. In the distance, great gouges can be seen in the earth as stone blocks were moved from here to the east to build the dead city. The land is moist and filled with sucking mud and brackish water. You might find a copse of 1d10 grabber trees infected, or perhaps quick mud, body save, or fear save to escape, 1d5 damage per round until pulled out, or perhaps you found, oh wait, that was a 3. Mist blows in from the coast. Visibility reduced to close range. Lasts for 1d5 hours. The ancient stone quarry. As stones were cut and removed, a giant staircase was created, descending hundreds of meters to the beach. From this vantage point, large carcasses and the ancient skeletons of immense aquatic beasts litter the beach as testaments to the long centuries of death holding sway over this planet. The remains of stone and bone huts litter the steps and beach. And searching the bone hut, you might find 1d10 slime moss, laser cutter, or maybe a weapons and supply cache. And in the east, you have the necropolis. An avenue of bones leads to monumental, grim towers that scrape the sky. The smooth terrain is blanked in meter-tall purple grasses, hissing in the small, salty ocean breeze. And in the south, you might get weapons or supply cache. You might find 7 stiff tails of gaunt hounds in the distance. If players stop and remain quiet, there is no attack. Or perhaps you found 6 gaunt hounds on the path 80 meters ahead. The ancient rocky plateau is scarred with scorch marks and impact sites, including the remains of several campsites. So yeah, this is pretty much word for word what we saw on the last page. Unless otherwise stated, moving 1 square on the map results in an encounter. Check for color-coded region. Feels like this page should have been first. When resting at the landing site, a 10% chance during the rest to have one of the following dreams. You are Dreknom, and your people are building their burial towers with massive chests and powerful tentacled arms and legs. You cut and move heavy slabs of rock from the north of the island. Now is the time for dying. This is how we die. Or perhaps you marvel at your 8 slender fingers upon a graceful long arm. It's hard for your brain to process your vision as you seem to have an extra set of eyes. You look around and see your people, the Trill Elian Havsandre, chopping apart your spacecraft to remove the engines and drag them toward a dead city full of tall towers. Then you know certainly you will all die. Or perhaps you saw the Skiznek toil. They build a door which will not be functional for another 2 ages. They drop to the ground and are covered by strange, dark, crawling things. So in the swamp to the north, sparse tree-covered sprouts from stony ground as the land gently slopes downward. But yeah, this is, word for word from the map segment. Freshwater can be located with an intellect check. And that's just a rehash of the various encounters. The intensive pouring formed a giant staircase that descends hundreds of meters to the beach. Littering the shore are the moldering carcasses, ancient skeletons of extraordinary leviathans, a testament to the ceaseless crusade against life. The wind whips through long-abandoned crumbling stone and bone huts along the stairs and beach. There are 28 huts structurally intact. So the necropolis. To the east, an avenue of bones leads to the monumental grim towers that scrape the sky. The smooth terrain is blanketed in meter-tall purple grasses, hissing in the salty ocean breeze. An intellect check with zoology or exobiology identifies the bones as having both Piscine and avian traits. Tall and ancient, these buildings loom over the debris-clogged streets, casting preposterous shadows. Their unified style, the structure exhibit a bewildering juxtaposition. The capacious ziggurat is dwarfed by a lattice-work tower abutting a hoary cenotaph, nearly melded into a ghastly neighboring cupola. Their sole similarity is the ubiquitous presence of the dead. Lying on stone slabs, perched in chairs, ensconced in alcoves, or coiled in the street. The vacant streets resound with the occasional bang of hounds and an omnipresent mechanical hum. Towering obelisks, 30 meters plus, house the remains of the insectoid Illyriana. The interiors contain symmetrical piles of black metallic jewelry with luminescent opals. In the desiccated remains, hands are intricately wrought metal staves. Energy beam blasts 3d10 damage or strike 1d10 damage. 10% chance of breaking on use. Clusters of 4-story octagonal buildings house different evolutionary lineages of the prime native species. Their Spartan tombs have altars bedecked in rough, uncut gems, strange shells, and simple spears and axes of a very hard metal. Stacked domes, interiors littered with hollow metallic spheres imprinted with Goetic glyphs, house the remaining of tall humanoids with many slender tapered fingers and a cluster of 4 eyes. Their preserved bodies are dressed only in ornate blasters with a blaster, 2d10 damage, or extendable blade, 3d10 damage. The hum emanates from a faceless square metallic building in the center of the necropolis. The door is unlocked but stuck shut and requires a strength check to open. The first room is covered in 2d10 crawlers. In the next room is a set of stairs descending 90 meters into the darkness. The deeper players go, the more penetrating and intense the humming becomes and stronger the light filtering from the base becomes. The stairs spill out onto a landing overlooking a colossal chamber filled with jump engines and impulse engines gang together. This and the countless dead are the generator for the dead gateway of the Gaunt. Disabling 9 or more engines or drives renders the gateway inoperable and allows ships to flee the dead planet via their jump drives again. Each engine or drive can be rendered inoperable with a combat or intellect check. A failed check still disables the drive but causes 1 explosive wound to everyone in close range. There is a 35% chance that any attempt will attract 1d10 Gaunt Hounds. Multiple circular towers, each 60 meters tall, house a solid tentacled Dreknon, mummified in alcoves adorned with sashes and belts hung with bells and clappers, carved as semi-precious stones. Curled among the decorations are cruel-looking energy lips. Uses intellect instead of combat, close range 2d10 damage, 10% chance of breaking on each use. So it looks like we've got 2 different encounter tables. One which you roll for each hour they spend, and one for, each new location you visit. We'll roll 2 or 3 on the hourly encounters first. So 2, nothing. 3, vociferous bang of 8 Gaunt Hounds in close range. 25% chance they track down players unless precautions are taken. Or you might get 3 Gaunt Walkers, blood-curdling screech, and recklessly charge. And for some of the stuff you might find 45 simple spear, hard metal, 52 a tiny metallic floating sphere which dance around each other, or maybe 2 nothing but dust and sorrow. The Dead Gateway. The terrain is rough and steadily rises as far as can be seen. The sky to the west is filled with ominous black clouds with the appearance of... Okay, yeah. That's from a map description. The Gateway. Protruding from the murkiness is an appalling ring monstrosity of twisted metal, multitudinous bodies entwined and melded, blurring any distinction between human and other in a morass of tentacles, wings, trunks, limbs, and distended faces. These sickly flashes of lightning illuminate, and the abomination seems to rise sinuously. Panic check upon viewing. A profusion of taut cables sprouts from the earth, feeding the gateway. The portal vomits forth 5 deathworms and 6 gaunts from the undulating surface of the dead portal upon approaching. Powers of the gate. Attempting to enter the gate is a mortifying experience akin to being flensed and torn apart simultaneously. Body save for 3d10 damage, and sanity save for 1d10 stress. The gate cannot be disabled here, however, this is not evident. Attacking the gate only makes it less stable, though destroying or depowering it does allow ships to use their jump drives again. Treat the gate as if it has wounds. Up to 2 wounds remain stable. 4 wounds, the surface undulates wildly as an alpha gaunt strides out, digits grasping in anticipation to defend the gate. 6 wounds, the gate becomes dangerously unstable, racked with tremors, and extruding an amalgamated, harrowing, confused jumble of gaunts and crawlers. A single quivering mass of flesh that triggers a panic check. At 8 wounds, ground and reality fracture around the gate, tentacles of nothingness, and grasp and caress everything within close range. 3d10 damage, no save. At 10 wounds, reality recoils, screeches, and breaks. The ring of the gateway melts away like quicksilver, but the portal does not disappear. Rather, it starts multiplying in size. Like a cancerous tear in reality, is permanent and rapidly proliferating. Good luck fixing that. Some encounters you might find around the dead gate. Okay, no, that is the same encounter table. The crash of the Defiance. 1 week ago, the experimental military transport J2C-2, the Defiance, was dragged through hyperspace by the dead planet and crash-landed here. From the smoldering wreckage can be seen the red tower in the distance. On the whole, the ship is salvageable but requires major repairs. Jump drive is offline and has taken 3 mega damage. It can hover planetside and drop the back hatch, allowing for rapid deployment. Most of the crew are dead, though there are still some salvageable pieces of loot within the wreck itself. Players needing replacement characters can easily find a few confused Marines here. Every turn spent searching has a cumulative 10% chance of a random encounter. Has middling thrusters in battle and okay-ish systems. It had a crew of 24. Curiously had capacity for 80 cryopods. Fuel capacity 18, 2 escape pods, of which we know means about 8 people could escape, and an autocannon. In private storage, 10 gold bars. Not sure what a burl is. 2,000 board feet of pink ivory. 55 gallons of maple syrup, and 910 units of compressed algae rations, and 2 weeks of K rations. The main ship can eject the storage bay. Here, the door is passcode locked, tally-ho. The keypad is obviously trapped. Incorrectly entering the passcode sets off an alarm. Roll for encounters every round, and arms a 5-minute timer on the private storage. If it isn't disarmed, it will destroy all cargo. The main storage bay contains 80 working cryopods and is filled with mostly empty gun racks. The whole place, however, is laced with tripwires, rigged to bundles of grenades. Tripping one sets off a chain reaction, destroying the entire ship and everyone within close range. Replacement characters can be placed here. The Red Tower. The source of the military distress beacon, the Red Tower is a twisted and eroded remain of a carmine ergonomic building. It appears like a shattered molar on the horizon. A kilometer in all directions around it is completely vacant. Originally, the building was a breakaway from the colony ship settlement, a hybrid bunker, armory, and research station, built to serve as a protected space against the compulsive gate-building madness. Clearly, this did not work. The corpses of the overly optimistic crew of the Defiance are scattered throughout the complex. Their initial scan turned up the valuable warhead in the depths of the Red Tower. Unfortunately, their discipline, weapons, and experience from previous campaigns were not enough, and they are entombed here like mindless puppets of the Gaunt. The soldiers of the Defiant's last and poorly paying job were to crush a loggers' strike on a timber planet, silencing their mewing pleas for basic quality of life protections. The crew was already prone to nightmares from the atrocities they perpetuated for coin. The soldiers did not consider themselves bad people. They saw themselves as good people stuck with a bad job, and many of them were already afflicted with nightmares before winding up here. If the crew needs restocked, have a few survivors. They are Marines with standard statistics, armed with either a shotgun or SMG and 2 stick-style pulse grenades or 3 canisters of tear gas. The standard battle dress for Defiance Company is a gas mask, environmental protection gear coat, and fatigues. They and the other bodies in the Red Tower act as Gaunt walkers. To quickly generate Gaunt walkers in the Red Tower, roll 3d10. So you might have a security guard uniform with their arms have become excessively long and withered, yet exhibit sinuous strength. Their face has collapsed into their torso, which is a colossal screaming and vertical maw, with crystalline formations erupting from the inside of their body. You might encounter a wacky bow tie and loud suit with head blossom like fleshy orchids, petal-lined eyes, and teeth with their knees bending backwards, allowing them to leap a surprising distance. Well, we'll see how far we can go. Actually, I might just skip over the complex. This is by far the most complex map they've we'll just go ahead and read the floor summary. So A floor, no violent encounters, emphasis, abandoned, nothing of value, mundane, loot, low value, damaged furniture, office supplies. B floor, no violent encounters, abandoned and quiet unless the alarm goes off, flickering minimal light unless environmental control is fixed. Mood, eerie, desolate, flickering lights, possibly ear-splitting alarm, mysterious barricade in B9, area littered with spent cells, no body. On C floor, you have every round spent sitting still, 1d5 gone. Arrive. Guns take 4 rounds to open a blast door. If the environmental controls on B7 or C6 aren't fixed, flickering lights and portions of complete darkness. Blast doors are noted as either being opened or closed. They can be cut with a hand welder in 3 rounds. On D floor, all the active gods from floor C pile into the elevator shaft and eventually come pouring in. The floor should feel rushed given that there is less space to maneuver. Mood, dripping uniform concrete, light is harsh, red emergency lights. Players can survive by escaping through D9, solve the mystery by using the console at D6, or save the day by activating the lift at D5 and take the lift D3 to the floor. On E floor, full of complex, dusty machinery humming and flashing as it boots up and comes to life. A control panel in E3 can control the gates and disable the automatic firing of the bomb into the core of the planet. Igniting the bomb before it explodes destroys the Gaunt, the planet, and the moon colony containing the Gaunt incursion. So some of the creatures we've had mentioned: the Alpha Gaunt, Combat 75, Horrific Scream, and Bite and Claw, Telekinetic Drain, Instinct is 65, Wound 6. Alpha Gaunt always screams before an attack. The scream forces a fear save and adds 1d5 stress upon failure. Telekinetic Drain, 1 wound, -5 intellect, and -5 sanity. Sanity save, or d5 stress. Alpha Gaunts are emaciated, leathery, graceful, and tall. They are produced when a higher form of death worm parasitizes a near-perfect host. A series of grasping claw protrudes from their torso to their face and becomes a mouth and telekinetic organ, which lift their prey into the air, draining them of life. Death worms, Combat 20, Instinct 30, 1 wound. Special abilities, Burrow. When causing 10 plus damage, victim must make a body save or the worm starts implanting itself into their face. Swims through the air. Spectral parasitic worms that must find a host to inhabit this universe, as their bodies are not suited to anything but their native environment. Inhabiting a victim involves the death worm burrowing into the throat and cranial regions of their victim. When they are successfully implanted, they radically transform the host. The host's cranial structure is split down to the chest, from which the webbed and clawed appendages burst, tipped with the host's teeth. The host skin thickens and stretches tightly across protruding joints and skeletal structures. The resulting amalgamation is known as a gaunt due to its emaciated figure. A Gaunt Crawler, Combat 15, Bite 1d10 damage, a Ranged Spike 1d5 damage, Instinct of 10, Wounds 1. Hive Mind, for each crawler beyond the first, combat and instinct are increased by 5. Has one of the following 3 abilities. Paralyzing Spike, forces body save or become paralyzed in 1d10 rounds. Acid Spray, released in 3 meters, long cone, and adds an additional 1d10 damage. Toxic Gas, released in 5 square meter cloud and adds 1 stress per round in cloud and 1d10 damage. These tentacled and armored creatures are the first of the Gaunt to come into living dimensions. They're about half a meter long and scurry around using long prehensile proboscis, cleaning up scraps left by larger Gaunt. Black spines undulate down the backs of the bugs. Some of them contain paralyzing agents or other toxins. Gaunt Hounds, Combat 60, Bite and Claw 2d10 damage, or Howl. Instinct 45, 2 wounds. Howl adds 2 stress and a 5% chance of forcing a panic check. Can glide through the air. Fast 6-legged animals akin to a dried-out leathery hyena. Flaps of skin connect to the legs on each side, allow for gliding attacks from elevated locations. Toothed jaws open impossibly wide. 4 dead glassy eyes are set on top of the creature's skull. A stiff lashing tail is held erect and can often be seen above the grass. The hound stand about a half meters tall at the shoulder, and under a loud bang howl when the scent of prey is picked up. And I think this is just printed onto the back cover almost feels like there's another page, but I think that is just the back cover. So Gaunt Walkers come at 65, Infernal Scream, and Bite and Claw, 3d10 damage. Instinct 30, 2 wounds. Infernal Scream, a group of Gaunt Walkers always screams before an attack. Fear save or 1d5 stress. Gaunts are emaciated and hunchbacked with willy arms, squat leg, and webbed digits. They are as comfortable moving on 2 limbs as 4. Their faces consist of immense eyes and high nostrils, a lapel, an elongated vertical orifice of interlocking bone-tipped digits. Combat 15, Instinct 50, Wounds 1, Blinding Flare, flashes brightly and moans when non-gaunt are spotted, forces sanity save, 40% chance they explode when attacked. Battle Highland globes filled with phosphorescent liquid ensconce internal skulls that moves within the green glow of the liquid. They act as sentries and will flash and moan when a threat is detected. Grabber Tree, Combat 10, Instinct 10, 4 wounds. Body save or be pinned down by the seed's exploding roots. Strength check to escape. Infection, 25% chance a tree is infected by death worms. Infected seed pods release black caustic sludge. Drab olive green trunk split into 5 branches and lopped by slender red grass-like structures. Oval seed pods, twice the size of a human head, dangle from the ends of twisted vines and are hurled at warm-blooded bodies. Finally, we have, I guess there's 2 more. We have the Slimemoth, Combat 25, Bite 2d10 damage and Slime, Instinct 15, Wounds 2. Slime produces copious amounts of slime when attacking, body save or minus 1d10 speed. Half a meter long and grayish in color with a fat, legless, slug-like body, moist, heavy wings, make it sound like wet weather flapping in the wind. We have the Triworm. Combat 50, Tongue Attack, 2d10 damage, Instinct 20, Wounds 1. Tongue Attack, body save, or additional 1d10 damage per round until laceration is wrapped. 4.5 meter long, half meter diameter, moist, black, thick-skinned aquatic worm with a tetrahedral head. A large compound eye on each side. 3 sharp tongues lap from the tip of the cone head despite having 3 legs, only 2 are for locomotion. The 3rd is a weapon. I think we kind of rolled on this. This is just for searching bodies on the different locations. So we did kind of gloss over the 3rd possible scenario, but overall I enjoyed it. Had a really different feel. It was kind of interesting because of how not combat focused this game is supposed to be, but we had like basically a grid and just a lot of encounters on the grid for like that 3rd area. So that was a bit interesting, but I guess a lot of those are sort of just very weak creatures with a punch, I guess, that just kind of keeps the tension up. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Probably no other stream tonight, and I think tomorrow we will go back to Dominaria.